Hello children, how are you all? Hope you all are fine and good at your home. Welcome back to ICT class session, and this is our video class number 48, and by the previous class itself we have started new chapter, last chapter in ICT textbook, chapter 10, Inside the Computer. So we are continuing with this chapter itself. So before moving on to today's session, let us see the slides to know about what we had discussed in our previous class. So in our previous class session, we have discussed about the changes in connectors and structure of the computers, and then about input and output devices, then different connectors that are used for connecting these equipments to the computer like PS2 port, VGA, then digital visual interface, DVI cable, HDMI cable, etc. And we had discussed about one of the important connector or important port called Universal Serial Bus, in short USB. We had discussed about what is USB. It helps in speedy transfer of information. And last topic was different monitors, visual display unit, monitors that we are using today. Three kind of monitors we have discussed. One is CRT monitor, then TFT and LCD monitors, then LED and OLED monitors. Hope you all remember all those activities that we have discussed in a previous class. So today's class session we are moving to one important topic in this chapter, microprocessors. So before starting today's session, let's see the objectives behind today's class. The learner will learn about the general structure and working of CPU, then to learn about different type of microprocessor that we are using in our computers, and to learn about the clock speed and cache memory. So these are the learning objective behind today's class session. So let's start the class with the topic microprocessors. So normally in the last class I have mentioned that input devices and output devices, isn't it? So what the computer do is, we will send an information through input devices, and then the computer is giving us the data as output. So in between, what happens in between when we are giving data to the computer to the input devices, and the computer shows us the output, and in between there does a complicated processing. Okay, the data have to be processed inside the computer. For example, we are using what OpenShot video editor or GIMP, etc. Then if I click on that text tool in GIMP, I have to enter the text, isn't it? So how this happens in the computer? So when I click on the text editor, text tool, the computer need to know which tool I have chosen, isn't it? So a complicated processing is happening in between the input and output section of the computer. So in between, a complicated processing is happening. So how to do this processing? With the help of microprocessors. Microprocessors means what? Inside this microprocessor, you have learned this in the structure in primary section, like arithmetic logic unit, control unit, memory unit. So inside the CPU, when you are going to the computer lab, you are sitting in one computer and you have to open the switch on the CPU. You will click on one button in the CPU. So what will happen? Inside that, a complicated processing is taking place. So this is done using microprocessors. So what will happen? We will send an information using one input device, then computer will does its processing using microprocessor. After that, the computer will gives us the output, and we can view the output in a screen, computer screen or monitor of a computer. So this processing is done with the help of microprocessor, and in microprocessor different units are there, different sections are there, arithmetic logic unit, control unit, memory unit, etc. So with the help of these all units, the microprocessor will does its processing section and will gives us the output. So here in your textbook page number 140, the structure or the working of CPU is given. So let's see that picture. Analyze the picture given here. Microprocessor help to make basic mathematical calculations, and also they will control the activities of input and output equipment in the computer. So underline that sentence in your textbook, page number 140, first paragraph. Microprocessors help to make basic mathematical calculation with the help of ALU unit. Arithmetic logic unit is in the microprocessor itself. So it will do the basic mathematical calculation, and with the help of control unit, it will control the activities of input and output devices that is connected to the computer. So these units are inbuilt in the microprocessor. And what is the pictorial representation? We will first transfer an information to the computer using input devices like keyboard, mouse, etc. And after that, what will happen? Inside the computer, processing take place. The center part is known as processing part. Here you can see microprocessor as well as the storage. So you can see arrow marks. So what we are giving into the input device, it will be sent to the microprocessor. You can see arrow mark to the rightward direction will give to the microprocessor, and the data which is useful will be stored in a storage. It is known as memory unit. Every computer has its own storage. In our mobile phone also, it consists of what? RAM, ROM, etc. Internal storage, SD card, etc. So the useful data will get stored in the storage, and whatever we have to view as output will be given by this microprocessor. So this is the working of CPU. Inside the CPU, it consists of microprocessor as well as memory. So when we are giving an information, it will passed by this input device to the microprocessor. Inside the microprocessor, it will does the mathematical calculations, and also it will control the information or activities, and then the useful data will be moved to the storage device in the computer. After that, when we require that data, this will provide us the output. So this is the working of computer. And then, do you think that the microprocessor used in different computers have the same speed and same efficiency? What will be the answer? It's no. So how can you identify features of the processor used in your computer? So that is what our next topic. Do you think the microprocessor have same efficiency and speed? No. So in nowadays, the size and storage capacity of microprocessor as well as the components as well as the memory are very high comparing to the earlier days. So the size and storage capacity of microprocessor in every computer is not at all same. So how can we find out the size and storage capacity of the devices in a computer? By using an application or a facility called sysinfo, system info. Sysinfo in our computer, in our Ubuntu, you can see sysinfo. I think in settings and all, you can see the sysinfo part. In our mobile phone, you can see about phone option in settings. There, if you click on that about phone option, you can see each and every details related to your mobile phone. Likewise, we can know the processor details, microprocessor details, then what RAM, ROM, storage capacity of our computer by using system info, sysinfo application. By using this sysinfo, it is inbuilt in our computer. Search in your computer, system information or system settings. There you can see the processor capacity, then storage capacity, then what versions, etc. of every components used in your computer. So there are different type of microprocessor like CISC microprocessor, RISC microprocessor, RISC, then ASIC. So these are different microprocessor, but it is not described in your textbook. So no need to study that topic, types of microprocessor. In that activity 10.2 in your textbook, types of microprocessor, they didn't have mentioned any type of microprocessor in your textbook. They are asking you to find out the different microprocessor that you are using in your system. So it is not important, no need to study that topic. Okay, no any types is described in your textbook. Just go to your home or just watch your system. So open your system and find out the sysinfo icon and just click on that icon and know about your processor speed and capacity. Okay. So that is what our second topic, what types of microprocessor. I didn't have specified here because it's not much important. So, it is what microprocessor structure, etc. Then next topic in today's session, last topic in today's session is clock speed and cache memory. It is given in page number 141. In one table it is given. Clock speed and cache memory. You have to study what you mean by clock speed. Have you heard about this word clock speed? Clock speed means what? When a computer works, lot of information is transferred to and from the computer. So, that rate of information transfer in 1 second, within a second is known as clock speed. See the definition in your textbook. When a computer works, a lot of information is transferred to and from the CPU many times within a second. It is referred to as clock speed. If the clock speed is high, which means what? The information it handles is also high. So, when lot of information is transferring, the clock speed will be high because that rate of information transferring is known as clock speed. It usually measured in hertz. Clock speed or frequency, it is measured in hertz. The amount or rate of information transfer is known as, within a second is known as what? Clock speed. It is referred to the term clock speed. And then what do you mean by cache memory? And CPU works, every information that we are transferring will get stored in the primary memory of the computer, isn't it? Whatever we are giving into the computer, the useful data will be stored in the primary memory. For example, if you are doing something in LibreOffice Writer, you have to save that file, isn't it? When you save that file, where it gets saved? In the primary memory itself. Okay, so every information will get stored in the primary memory. So, when more information came into that computer, what will happen? The computer may find difficult to search the information, to get the information. So, in every computer there will be a cache memory in order to get frequently used information, in order to store some data and to take that frequent data from this memory. Every computer has the facility of cache memory. So, see the definition. When the CPU work, it depends mainly on primary memory of the computer. Sometimes the CPU which work very fast and may find it difficult to get the information in time. So, hence facility is available in the microprocessor to retain the frequently used information in the CPU, and it is known as cache memory of the CPU. Every information, storing of every information in primary memory is not at all easy task, because whenever information is needed, CPU or computer will find difficulty in acquiring that data. So, in every computer there is a facility called cache memory in order to get the frequently used data. So, there are some levels of this cache memory, like L1 cache memory, L2 cache memory, level 3 cache memory, etc. So, all these levels the data gets stored. So, what will happen is the computer will first check whether the data is available in L2. After that it misses, after that it will go to L2 cache, after that it will move to L3 cache, and if it finds the data, it will take the data and will give us to you as output. Okay. So, this is what the working of cache memory. You do not need to study this, you just study what is clock speed and what do you mean by cache memory. Clock speed means rate of information transferring per second, and cache memory means what? In every computer, microprocessor has the facility to retain the frequently used information. So, whenever it get congested or whenever we are transferring a lot of information, microprocessor will store that data in this facility called cache memory. So, the CPU can easily find out the data and take the frequently used data. So, there are different levels for this cache memory, level 1, level 2, level 3, etc. Just study what is the definition of clock speed and cache memory. Then we have discussed about cache memory. So, have you noticed that nowadays microprocessor has changed a lot? The storage capacity, size, handling capacity, speed of transfer is very different in every microprocessor that we are using today. And where this information is stored? Have you think about that? I have already told we are giving some information to the input device. After that, this input data will be processed with the help of microprocessor. After that it will gives us the output. So where this data gets stored in the computer? If you are doing writer software or slide, if you are preparing slides in Impress software, you are working with the slides when the power is switched off and you forgot to save that work, it will get lost because it is stored in the temporary memory of the computer. But what if happened if you are saving that file? Suppose I am doing one work, I am saving that file by clicking on file save option. In students work folder I am saving this file. When the power is off, we can retain that file because we have saved that file. We can just open that file because it is stored in the permanent memory of the computer. So this is what our next class topic, memory of the computer. So as of now we already have discussed about input and output devices, and in today's class session we have discussed about in between complicated processing with the help of how the data is processed with the help of microprocessor. So let's summarize today's class topic. Okay, we have discussed about first topic, microprocessor, the working of CPU. Information is transferred to the input device, and in microprocessor we will have ALU, arithmetic logic unit, control unit, memory unit, etc. So it will control the activities and also it will done the basic mathematical calculation, and the useful data will get stored in the storage of the computer and will provide us the output. So this is what the working of CPU. And then we have discussed about types of microprocessor. So here you can see the microprocessor that you are using in your system by using system information application. It is available in our computer. By clicking on that settings, we can view the type of processor, version of processor, storage capacity, etc. Then last topic we have discussed in today's session is clock speed and cache memory. Clock speed means lot of information is transferring when a computer works to and from the CPU many times within a second. That rate is known as clock speed, and then it is usually measured in hertz. Then cache memory means when the CPU work, it depends mainly on primary memory of the computer. Sometimes CPU will works very fast, so that it will find difficulty of getting the information. So hence a facility is available in microprocessor to retain the frequently used information in the CPU itself. So this is cache memory of the CPU. So processors differ in their levels of cache memory. L1 level is there, L2, L3, etc. So these are today's class topic. Here is the homework question for you. Try to do the homework and write it in your notebook. So hope you all have understood the topic that we have discussed in today's class session. And in your textbook you can see one table, page number 141, table 10.2. It is not important. It is for your sake it is given. You can find out the model of the computer, you can find out the frequency and L2 cache, that size you can find out from the system information or settings in your computer. No need to study that table, it is not at all important. Okay, so that's all for today. We'll continue in the next class. Thank you and have a nice day.